In just the month of January 2017, two teen suicides were reported weeks apart. Caitlin Davis, 12 years old, broadcasted her suicide via social media. She hung herself in front of her home. 3 weeks later, Nakia, 14 years old, she also broadcasted her suicide live. She hung herself in her bathroom while her foster parents slept in the next room. According to SAVE, which stands for Suicide Awareness Voices of Education, 1 out of 65,000 children ages 10 to 14 commit suicide a year. 2/3 of people who complete suicide were known to be depressed around the time of their deaths. So stop and ask us this. This is what we all should ask ourselves. What are we doing as parents, friends, teachers, family, even coaches to increase the awareness of teen suicide? Did you know that your involvement of increasing awareness in teenage suicide can potentially save a life? Now let's stop and consider this. Between childhood and adulthood, your child is going through critical transitions that can cause mental health challenges, which then can cause depression and even increase the risk of suicide. Suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst youths from ages 15 to 24. There are many ways to increase teenage suicide awareness. Always, and I mean always, keep your eyes close on teens that are showing depression and withdrawn. It's important to keep the lines of communication open. Now, I notice that sometimes teens are really not comfortable with sharing things with their parents just because they think they might get judged. And if that is the case, even then, suggest that they speak to someone else. That someone else could be another relative. It could be a next door neighbor. It can be a friend. The list can go on. According to Nemours Foundation at Child Health, teens going through mental major life changes such as recent divorces, moving, financial changes, or they can even be victims of being bullied, are also at a greater risk. I encourage you guys to pay close attention to the signs that usually occur after a stressful life event, such as problems at school, a bad breakup, problems at home, maybe your grades are bad, it could be a death of a loved one. Some of the signs you should look for are perhaps they're talking about death more, talking about suicide even more. They could be talking about emotions of guilt, feeling helpless, feeling hopeless. They're pulling away from their friends and family. They're not even trying to take part in favorite activities that they used to. Excuse me. Although all suicides can't be prevented, you still can make sure a teen that are showing signs get the help they need. Don't ever shrug off a kid that is talking about hurting themselves. Yeah, sometimes teens do want attention, but 9 times out of 10, when you ignore a child that's seeking attention, that can increase their chances of them actually harming themselves or committing suicide. Don't be afraid to ask a teen if they've been thinking about suicide or hurting themselves. And I know that can be kind of a difficult topic to discuss, but it's always, always, always a good idea to ask. Get help immediately. Do not hesitate to contact a doctor, a teacher, a pastor, a school nurse, a school counselor, a psychologist. Even if it's an emergency at that very moment, they have plenty of suicide hotlines, available, such as 800 suicide. Each and every one of you can pay attention to teens around you and know the difference. You just simply telling a teen that you notice that, they're acting differently can really show a teen that they do make a positive difference in the world, that someone does notice their hurt. Everyone wants to feel loved, needed, and wanted in life. Teens are no exception. There are so many methods available to teens to commit suicide nowadays. And our part of our job as an adults is to make sure they have fewer methods available. Knowing how to help teens knowing how to help with teens suicide prevention can save lives because it focuses on helping teens realize that life is actually very special. It is important to acknowledge that teens are at risk for depression, anxiety, and other emotional disorders. Thank you.